Nvidia-backed CoreWeave is seeking to raise as much as $2.7 billion in an initial public offering. That is a lower valuation than the $4 billion that Bloomberg reported last month before the downturn and volatility in the stock market. For more on what this signals about the public markets, let's get to Forge Global CEO Kelly Rodriques. Thank you for being here, Kelly. Appreciate it. We just heard Gil Loria bring up the idea that maybe it won't even be $2.7 billion. Maybe when it actually comes to market, it could even be a lower valuation. What do you think are the prospects for that, and what do you think is going on here?
Well, we've watched this company for the last year, and they're the most disclosed AI company in the private market for sure. We upped the valuation from $19 billion last May to $29 billion in February. And in the recent disclosures, what you're seeing is a company that in 3 years had revenue explode. So from a growth rate standpoint, we're waiting to watch the trend and see if it marks the opening of the IPO market.
Kelly, I'm curious, where do you feel like the market is at with the AI story, right? It felt like at least last year, or maybe even the last 2 years, you kind of had to have that AI pitch, whether you were actually a core AI company like CoreWeave is, or if you weren't a core AI company. Are we still in that sort of moment, or is that not really where the market's at with AI?
I think AI is still demonstrating, by virtue of the fact that they're 30% of the trading volume of the entire private market, that there's a lot of excitement about what it can mean. And certainly this being a core AI company, the one phenomenon that I will say is it's surprising given the fact that the amount of capital that you can raise in the big core AI firms appears to be unstoppable. If you look at what happened in the most recent Databricks raise, what that said to me and many market watchers is why go public when you've got access to that kind of capital privately. So this is one that we're carefully watching, but the disclosed numbers look pretty impressive.
Well, what's the answer to that question in the case of a CoreWeave? Why go public then?
I'm not sure. Actually, I think a lot of us are watching it and scratching our head.
I mean, especially if it is at that lower valuation than there initially was reported. And especially given the public market volatility that we're seeing. Does it signal that maybe there is a little difficulty on the private side raising as well?
It could. We're not seeing that across the board. So unless there's something unique here. The one comment I would make is, since they are an infrastructure play, I mean, in my view of software and the applications of AI, this seems like the kind of company that the public investor will understand based on what its application is. I mean, this is fueling the infrastructure for AI in other companies. So it's a real core enabling technology in some ways.
And I'm curious, we've seen this pretty big drawdown in the public markets in a lot of these AI names over the last month, right? How long does that have to extend for then AI companies to say, I don't really know if I like how the public market is treating AI-specific stocks?
Well, I already think that it's surprising that you'd find an AI name interested in going public right now, generally. So I think the level of capital that the big names have gotten, and last time I was here, Josh, I was talking to you about the private Mag 7, and we've got 2 or 3 big AI names in there, and all of them have incredible access to private capital. So I don't see any of those going public anytime soon.
I want to ask about Klarna also, which is not a direct AI name. It's a buy now, pay later, but they use a lot of AI. Certainly, it's helped keep their head count down. The CEO has been very open about that. Reportedly, maybe exploring an IPO in April in terms of the timing. That one, like CoreWeave perhaps, is something that people can wrap their hands around, right? They understand what Klarna does because many people interact with it. How do you think the reception for that one is going to be? And that's one that's like, they were going to come public, they weren't. They've been back and forth a lot.
They've demonstrated a lot of discipline in the last years. I think a bunch of people who've been watching it see it as trying to ready themselves to be IPO ready. I think what we're seeing right now is a real question of whether the IPO market is open or not. And I'd say my answer to Klarna would be they'll watch CoreWeave and see how it goes. Because given the velocity coming out of last year, people thought the IPO market would start to open, given the macro trends and tariffs and everything else. People are really waiting for that one to go. And Service Titan looked good earlier, if you watched that. And now I'd say in the last few weeks, CoreWeave is really the one name to watch to see if it opens it up for other people.
So do we need that sort of policy uncertainty to clear then to get that opening of the IPO market that we all it felt like we were talking a lot about coming into 2025?
It's an interesting chicken and egg question. That's why I think an AI company being the one to be the next big IPO would be a really interesting statement to the market. But I think ironically, it won't mean you should see AI companies going public anytime soon. I think you'll see fintechs and potentially other sectors, such as Klarna, say, okay, they got treated pretty fairly coming out, we'll give it a shot. But I think everyone's watching and waiting.
All right, a trend we'll keep watching too. Appreciate you joining us, Kelly.
Thank you, guys.